Spirit. It's everywhere. Are we able to communicate with them? What can they teach us? Welcome to Schooled Thru Spirit. Host DeEtte Renee is a certified psychic medium and master teacher of psychic and mediumship development through LWISSD. DeEtte was born knowing spirit and now is here to help you better understand the spirit world. Now, your host of Schooled Thru Spirit, DeEtte Renee.
Hey, welcome everybody. This is DeEtte Renee here on Schooled Thru Spirit with WLTK DB Digital Talk Radio. I really want to just say, hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to DeEtte's Crazy World. But seriously, this show is about exploring different people's lives, their journeys, and how spirit has really impacted them. Now, every week I do talk about people. Oh my gosh, it's a crazy world. I do talk to people of different modalities, of spiritualities, and others that have just found that spirit has really just impacted their life. Now, each week I do start the show with a small discussion, and I think today's discussion is going to be a little bit smaller. But then bring on my guest. Now, my guest this week, guys, as you know, is Kelly Brickel. Oh my God, I love Miss Kelly. Kelly is from California, and she is coming in. She is my numerologist. She's my friend. She's a co-teacher with me. She's freaking amazing. You gotta love Kelly. Oh my God. So that is what's going on today. Now, in case, because you know I bring Kelly right up to the very end here, so I want to do some highlights of next week really quick. Okay, really quick. And I normally do this in 2 hours, but we're going to do it now just so you don't miss it. But I really want you, if you're staying tuned, if you're staying watching me, if you're following this show, if you're following anything and you've really been entertained by it or helped by it, you don't want to miss next week, because next week I am on location, aka taking a break from life, and going to Florida. Okay, I am going to Florida and I'm going to do the show from a remote location. Don't ask me where. I don't know if I'll be in a house. I don't know if I'll be in a backyard. I don't know if I will be, excuse me, on the beach. I don't know if a black snake is going to show up and take over the show, because trust me, you're going to hear me swearing a lot, maybe a lot of giggle overtones, and the snake is going to be sitting there doing the show. Either way, the guest next week is Miss Natalie Jones. Natalie Jones. And I'm telling you, if you want to see a rock star in the paranormal, if you want to see the ins and outs of it, this is a show you want to show up for. Natalie, I'm going to read this right off her Facebook site because I want you to get it all. She is an author of The Awakening the Higher Self, Bringing Darkness to Light. She is the lead navigator for the Ghost Hunter Girls. She is the creator owner of the Haunted Psychomantium. I totally said that wrong. She's also the president and CEO of Paraflix, which is a network for streaming paranormal. And I'll tell you right now, she's got the hookup on most of the paranormal shows. So literally, if you want to see your paranormal shows outside of Discovery Channel, all those shows get streamed. You need to hook up a Paraflex. It's really not that expensive, and she's got most of them. She's also the owner and creator of the U.S. Paracon, which is literally a very large Paracon event for paranormal and people that want to have all things paranormal. And she's also the executive producer of Strange Goat Media. This lady is a rock star from the beginning, the go, and doesn't let life stop her in any way, shape, or form. And she's going to be on the show next week. She's freaking amazing. Please go on. You know what? Go find her, Natalie Jones. Follow her at any one of those things just to get a little bit of highlight of who she is, what she does, and what she creates. But that's next week. And like I said, I'll be in Florida. The view behind me is going to be a lot different, but I'm going to be doing this off my phone. Okay. So a lot of things are going to be changed up. So if it's a little different, that's what's going on. So that is it for that part. I just wanted to let everybody know and have them show up and say, hey, how you doing? And all of that type of stuff. Hey, Vicky. Oh, I keep freezing. Oh, sorry. My producer will work on that. Hey, Caleb. So basically, like I said, this week I'm switching things up a little bit because, like I said, I bring Kelly right to the end. I bring her right to the end because I love her to be able to do those readings. I love her to be able to do those numbers, Do not worry if my internet tends to be a little stable throughout today or I keep freezing up. When Kelly gets on, she will not be freezing up, and trust me, the show will still go fabulously. Okay? It will still go fabulously no matter what. Okay? Um, ah, so I'm just for now, I'm gonna just keep talking. This week I'm talking about celebrations. Mainly the idea, and it really did come from because this is my birthday week. This is the week I turned 51. Can you believe it? This face is almost 51 years old. That's crazy. And I think I'm starting to look it a little bit. But I'm talking about celebrations and not of the birthday kind. Not of the birthday kind. But I did ask Spirit. I said, you know what? What should I talk about today? What is a big thing to talk about today? And I heard celebrating, but celebrating yourself. Okay? Celebrating yourself. And I don't think you need a birthday to celebrate you. This is not a once a year, oh my gosh, let's pull out the horn and the champagne and scream that I'm another year older because it really isn't what it is. Okay. Good morning, Denise. What this is about is just looking at yourself and going, you know what? I deserve to be celebrated because I was about to swear. F and A, I'm worth it. I'm worth it. I'm worth to celebrate. I'm worth to celebrate every day. So aren't you? Okay. So, what are you doing this week to celebrate you, your existence, your life, your good deeds, your achievements? Just you. What are you doing to celebrate yourself this week? Um, I'll tell you what, so many of us go on the wayside. Good morning, Jeanette. So many of us go on the wayside and we don't think about that. We don't think about what we can do for ourselves, do we? We don't think, oh my gosh, we wake up, we get ready, maybe you have to go to work, maybe you're a stay-at-home type person, whatever it might be, but you get up, you do your chores, you go to work, it's just blah, blah, blah all day long, doing the same thing you always do. You know what? You make a dinner for the family. You're just going on and on and on. Okay. And then you go to bed, you wake up and you do the same thing. But how often at the end of the day do you look at yourself and go, you know what? I accomplished a ton of stuff. How often do you do that? How often do you look at yourself and say, wow, I rocked today? I really rocked. I showed up to my life. I showed up and really just was amazing at what I did. Because I'll tell you what, most of us don't do that. Most of us don't do that. And then we definitely don't go hide in a closet and eat a chocolate cookie or anything like that. And that's another story I'll tell you. I'll bring that up in a minute. But we don't. We don't take that time for ourselves. We don't take our time to celebrate ourselves. We don't sit there and tell ourselves that we're amazing, that we're rock stars. We're really good, though, at telling ourselves that we suck. We didn't get everything done we wanted. Maybe I didn't get it done to the best. Um, maybe that, oh, I gained weight. Maybe we tell ourselves that I don't like the way I look. Maybe we tell ourselves um, that nobody likes us. Maybe we tell ourselves that the world and everything going on is our fault. I mean, we're really good at seeing those things, aren't we? We're really good at putting blame on ourselves or finding fault with ourselves. But very seldom are we good at celebrating who we are and how amazing we are. So I think we need to take some time to do that. I really do. I think we need to take some time to look at ourselves and say, hey, what do we want to do for ourselves? Start small, guys. Start small. You don't have to have a celebration every night, but start small. Even if it is damn, I went up and did the dishes today. That was a lot for me. That's okay. Maybe you've got hardcore fibromyalgia. Maybe you have a health condition that, really limits you. Maybe you're really depressed. But achieve those small things and run with those small things. Okay. And then every day find something else that's amazing that you did. Doesn't mean that everyday tasks can't be amazing because they are. They are. They're pretty awesome. Tell you what, I woke up today. I gave me a shower. I gave a baby a shower. I got a fire started. I got my bed made. I got breakfast for some babies. Just the list went on this morning. And God, I did that all before 9 o'clock. I got a ton of stuff done and my day has just started. And I'm going to look at those accomplishments and say, even if I go downhill later, even if I go downhill and say after the show, I just go, "Bleh, I want to be just a lump of jello for the rest of the day," I'm still going to celebrate the fact that I woke up and I got some duties done this morning. I'm going to celebrate me and my accomplishments. Okay. And that's not always easy. That's really not easy. Now, I'm going to go on to another subject that's also about celebrating you. That's really, really hard. At least it is for me. It's probably the hardest thing I do. It really is. And I had to change my thought process this weekend. Okay. Because it's really hard when somebody looks at me. Hey, good morning, Miss Courtney. It's really hard when somebody looks at me and gives me a compliment. I struggle with that. I'll tell you what, I struggle with compliments. I am not the compliment seeker. I'm not the person that wants to go out and hear, go, "Oh, how do I look today?" Blah, 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 because I struggle with receiving those compliments. I'm the person that if somebody goes, "Oh, you're looking great today," I will reject that, and go, "Oh, wow. Yeah, this shirt's kind of old, but thank you very much." Or, "Yeah, well, thank you. I lost a few pounds, so I must be looking a little bit better." I deflect really bad because I've always had a hard time with self worth of myself. I've always struggled with just saying thank you and letting it go. That's something I've severely struggled with, and I've struggled with it my whole life. But really, learning to change that behavior, learning to change that thought process starts to bring you back to a celebration of you because you're accepting a compliment or accepting what somebody else feels about you in a positive light. And that happened a lot to me this weekend. And because I think the world knows now, I've lost a dramatic amount of weight recently. Okay. And so my appearance has changed, and I got rid of the curls and my hair's straight now, and a lot of wonderful, amazing things have happened. I mean, Courtney, we're going to be doing them in a little bit. Don't worry. As soon as Kelly comes on, we're going to be doing those readings. Hey, good morning, Caleb. Yes, Caleb. Kelly's going to be doing numerology readings today. So hold on. She's not in yet. But literally, so I knew I was going to be walking into a place that has not seen me since I was heavier, a lot heavier. And I was like, God, how am I gonna deal with this? I don't know how I'm gonna deal with this. And I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna walk in with my head held high and proud of my achievement. So when people would say something, I go, "Oh my God, thank you. Thank you." And that's all I would say was thank you. I accepted that. I accepted it and went, you know what? This is a different form of celebration of myself. Accepting how somebody else feels about me in a positive manner for me, not deflecting it someplace else. Then another really cool thing happened while I was there, and I got some work done. I got my bars ran by the most amazing, and I'm gonna give you her name because I want you to go see her. Jessa, her name is Jessa, Robinson. Robinson. Oh my God, I'm gonna give you her name. I know she's listening. I just totally screwed up her last name because I got nervous, totally nervous, and I just totally screwed Robinson. I know it's Robinson, Jessa Robinson. Jessa is an amazing lady. She runs the Northwoods Health and Wellness expos, and you can go to the Northwoods Health and Wellness.org and see all the different expos that she runs, and you can go get your bars ran too. But really, it's a modality to kind of, I can't even explain it because I don't know much about it. I'm not even going to try, you know what? And her mom, CJ Martin, was on last year. You can go back to that episode. Her sister Olivia was on, and they all run bars, and they're all freaking amazing. But Jessa ran my bars this weekend, and I came to a lot of realizations. Good morning, Miss Deidre. Um, and thank you. And I found out that I literally, this is what I do. Not only do I deflect a celebration of myself, I also create something in my head and I assume what maybe negative people might be thinking. And I take on what I'm perceiving their thoughts to be about me before I even let somebody say something. Is that not messed up? That's really messed up, isn't it? And then I thought to myself, I wonder how many other people do that. I wonder how many people we have trained and organized ourselves, our thought process, to literally flip-flop to a negative thought process. And that all takes away from the celebration of us, doesn't it? It really starts to change the persona of how we look at ourselves, of how we see ourselves. And I thought to myself, I thought, you know what? All day long, I thought about everything that was going on in my head and everything. And I went, you know what? I'm not taking that on anymore. I'm not taking on negativity anymore of myself. Okay. Even if somebody would come up to me and look at me and say, "Oh, you're a jack, blank, blank, blank," or you know what, you're ugly, blank, 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 or whatever, I would probably look at them and say, "Thank you. You probably have a lot of reasons for feeling that way about me. That's okay. I don't feel that way about me. Sorry, we don't see eye to eye." And I'm gonna start celebrating me, and I'm celebrating my accomplishments, I'm celebrating my growth, I'm celebrating the fact that I'm gonna be freaking 51 years old, and damn, I think I look pretty good for 51. You know, and the whole 10 yards. Why not celebrate me? Why not celebrate who I am? And I think you need to celebrate yourself also. I really do. I think we need to, as a group, as a population, as a nation, as everybody internationally, world, whatever, start looking at ourselves as a person. It's not being conceited, it's not gloating. It's just going, "Hey, we're pretty amazing, and I think it's time to celebrate us." Okay? So that is what you need to do this week, is celebrate us. Now, no, you're not getting your weekly reading this week. Not as a general. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull one card. We're gonna talk about the one card, and then I'm gonna go to break, and I'm gonna bring in Kelly. But the one card is what you're gonna work on to celebrate you, okay? One card, that's it, just one. And that one card is what you need to work on, everybody, to celebrate yourself. Oh my God. It's the Crossroads card, guys. It's the Crossroads card. You know, it's time to move on. And I can't make this up, can I? I cannot make this crap up if I wanted to. You see, nice to see you. It has been so long, Robert. Oh my God. But yes, so working with celebration this week and celebrating you. The card I put on is the Crosswords card. It's the journey card. It's forward thinking. It's time to move on. So think about this card throughout the week when you're thinking about yourself and celebrating you and catching all those negative thoughts, or catching the deflection that you may be doing like I do, and realize it's time for you to start thinking more of yourself, better of yourself, thinking about how amazing you are, and change that lifestyle. Okay? It's time to move on, guys. With that being said, I'm going to take a quick break. When we get back, I'm going to bring in Kelly. We're going to do numerology readings today. This is DeEtte Renee here on Schooled Thru Spirit, WLTKDB. I'll be back in a few.
Looking to launch your new masterpiece? Then try something new with Moonbow Publishing and Production. At Moonbow, we have a strong desire to serve authors in a powerful and meaningful way. After all, you poured your heart and soul into your writing, and we fully understand and respect that. Remember this: you will own the copyright to your work. You will have the final say on your work before being published. Even after all of that, we've saved the best for last. We won't take a percentage sold. Nope, not a penny. Excited about MoonbowPublications.com yet? We thought so. Take advantage of our company's services like book editing, formatting, and covers, publishing, and photography. Moonbow Publishing and Productions has everything you are looking for in a company. Remember, we will not keep any commissions. We are a boutique publishing company focusing on spiritual, health and wellness, and personal growth genres. Moonbow Publications and Productions, a new kind of publishing company.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is DeEtte Renee here with Schooled Thru Spirit on WLTK DB. Let's bring in Kelly. Hey,
Hey,
how are you doing, beautiful?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's great to
Awesome.
see you. I love the new hair.
I am changing everything up. Thank you. Thank you.
Even the background looks kind of different too.
It is. It is. I literally I moved the computer so we could see more of the corner. Can't see my lovely pictures. That's okay. But let's make it spirit. Let's put some flowers in. You know, Why not? Why not? Good morning, Miss Lisa. People have been coming in all this morning. It's awesome already. It's just amazing.
Ready to have stuff happen. Yeah.
They always are. I think that's our year this year is for that. So before we get going into readings, what's been going on with you lately? What are your thoughts in life? You know?
What are my thoughts in life? My brain is very, likes to jump around. So when you give me a large topic like that, I go, okay, I guess I have to pick something.
Well, we have talked about financing, we have talked about numerology, we have talked about so many different things. So it's
Yeah,
kind
such
of like,
is life.
what are you doing these days?
What am I doing these days? Okay, well, I have 4 cats. I don't know if you
Okay.
know that.
I do,
So
yes. And I get to see the pictures.
I have 2 boys, and I got 2 girls that came into my life through fostering, and then we
Mm,
wound up adopting them because I felt that energetically they fit in so well with my boys.
right.
So we've had the girls for a year and the boys for 2 years, and it's just like a little family, and it warms my heart and stuff like that. So I'm always excited. I don't know, to see them. Like, it's the most simplest thing, but it brings me so much joy. They all have different personalities. So that always gets me excited to talk about. That's like relatively new-ish.
It really How do you make that as a now, do you do animal communication or is it just on a general, the vibe, you know?
I would say both,
Yeah.
because when I would do mediumship, I was able to tap into animals, and
Mhm.
sometimes it would be, easier than others. Sometimes it would just happen, but it hasn't been ever, let's say, a strong theme. But there's like certain years where it'll just come in really strongly, or there's certain times where I'm just like, yep, this is what's up. But I usually can see like sizes of animals and colors of animals. And it just depends on the personality. Sometimes the personality is just like a human, and we're like,
Mhm.
oh, away we go. And other times it's like, oh, wow, they're like very simplistic with the way they come in with their preferences. So I think it's something that I still have to personally develop, but I'm able to tap into. And then with my own cats, I do feel like there is animal communication depending on their personalities and how I connect to them. And that helps me further understand animals on an even deeper level. So that's why it excites me. Does
Right.
that make sense?
It does. It does. I see, I don't pick animals like most people do. Adoption, you get the energy, but they get forced on me. And I'm like, I don't want it. I don't want it. You know what I mean? It is I don't want it. I don't want the responsibility. I don't want the time. I'll get this for you, but you're going to take care of it. And it ends up with me somehow. Literally, it always does. And it ends up being a resignation then. You know what I mean? Like, because I wasn't accepting of it, it's almost like it's got to get forced into my life to go, oh, this is a beautiful fit. Does that make sense to you? Because I mean, growing up, I was a pony horse type person. I had my dog, blah blah blah. But it always seemed to be anytime I'd love an animal deeply, it would go away. So growing up,
Oh,
it's kind of like I don't want to take that on because you lose them. I mean, it's just they don't live to be. I need a turtle if I need anything. Something that can live to be 100. Oh,
something like a, yeah, that's one of, yeah, right.
you know.
A
But I
bird.
don't want that long-term commitment either, you know, so
Okay,
but
yeah, it's
I have a
100.
cat now, and his name's Buddha, and he's freaking amazing, and again,
Oh.
not something I bought for myself. I bought it for my son for Christmas a year ago, and
Oh,
my son looked at me and went, "Who gets somebody a cat for a Christmas present?" And I
aw.
went, "Okay, guess I got a cat."
Did you say his name is Buddha? I didn't.
Yes, his name
Oh,
is Buddha, and it's so funny because I do have a lot of Buddhas. I really resonate with the Buddha energy. I don't know why, I just do. And it's not the big belly Buddha, it's, like Kuan Yin Buddhas and, other Buddhas. It's just that whole energy of Thailand, Japan, whatever that energy. It's the ancient, whatever. And
Asian.
but I don't have a lot of the I got like one or two of the big belly Buddhas. And it's so funny because in my house, my granddaughter calls my Buddhas Charlie.
That's what, for some reason, I remembered the name as being Charlie.
Yeah,
That's so
she
funny. So I
calls
was like,
them
Buddha.
all Charlie. Nana, Dawson's messing with Charlie again, or Nana. It's always they're all Charlie. If it's a Buddha, it's a Charlie. I don't know why. It's just what she does. So when I got a cat, and I said, "Honey, do you want to name the cat?" And I'm thinking, "Oh God, what did I do?" Because the last cat she named it Snow Pop. And I'm
Snow
like,
Pop?
Snow Pop.
That's cute.
And I thought I just gave a 4-year-old the ability, and she was 3 back then, to name this cat that I'm gonna be stuck with the rest of my life. And she goes, "Buddha." And I went, "What?"
I can work with that, right?
I'm like, "I can go with Buddha. I can work with Buddha. It works." And the funny thing is, you know how cats don't like their bellies rubbed? He rolls over and says,
Oh.
"Rub my belly all day."
Aw,
So it
that's
works.
perfect.
It's perfect. And he's gotten to be this big fur ball. It's like normal cats are this big. I swear he's got to have some sort of like big cat blood in him. You know what I
Maine
mean?
Coon or
Yeah.
something,
Like,
or
because I mean, he's a year old and he's wider than my shoulders. He's like this
oh,
big
wow.
and he stands probably this tall and he just keeps growing.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Some of
he's a
the
big
boys
boy.
get big.
Yeah, and the funny because my daughter's got a cat that is part Mancoon, and my Buddha is bigger than her Turbo.
Wow. Turbo, I like that name too. Wow. Yeah, my cats the girls are really small,
Yeah.
and the boys are pretty normal size, Oren, he's
Oh, I
orange.
love that name.
Yeah, like, did you ever watch The Neverending Story?
I love the oh, yeah, that was,
It's
like, a big one for me.
his
I know what
name is
Orin is.
Yeah, his name is like the symbol of it means like a lot of things. It's a symbol of like hope, power, you know, regeneration. It's a multifaceted symbol, like from the movie, the book, if anyone's seen it, and it's a really good name for him. Like my husband picked out his name, but I was like, oh, that's such a good name. And I looked at him, I'm like, oh, he's such an Orin. And that's like really been the story of his little life, because when we met him, because we were looking for a cat at the time, he was so timid and he looked so sad, because
Mhm.
we saw his picture online and we're like, oh, like let's check him out. There's something, that we want to check out to see if he's a good fit for the family. And when we saw him, all of his, brothers and sisters, I think he had like two, like they were already adopted by the time we
Oh,
came there. And it looked like he'd been crying.
oh,
Like I don't know if cats can actually cry.
I
I
do
think they can,
yeah,
right?
I think they can also.
And I just don't know the science behind it. But you could just his eyes were watery. He looked sad, like he was hiding when we went to the little like room to meet him, and things like that. And he just like came out and he was like hyperventilating, the poor thing. He was having like a little panic attack because he was like so sensitive, and he did not like being where he was.
Yeah.
So he was like breathing heavy, and he like his heart rate was going, and we were just like petting him and calming him down. And then he kind of like hid, but then he came out to us, and then he just started like cuddling us, and he was like looking at me like, like you're my mommy. And there's like this look, when a cat
Yeah.
goes like, I like you and I'm gonna fixate on you. And
And it was over for you.
well, actually, my husband really liked him. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, he's going through something, like he's going through something. I'm like, I don't know, like if that's the right fit unless you feel it. I'm like, because Eric, you were called to his picture. Like, you have to feel it. And
Right.
he like did, but like he didn't really want two cats at the time. So he was like, yeah, he's like, I like him. I'm like, do you feel it? And he's like, well, I don't want to overthink it. But there was just like something that my husband, and like my husband's intuitive and I honor how he feels. I'm like, okay, all right. And there was like a feeling within me where I felt mixed up about it. So I
Right.
actually was like, I don't know, even though he gave me the exact look and he sat in me in my legs crossed the exact way when as I first met my first cat,
Right.
excuse me, my second cat growing up, who was like my little Buddha. All right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Buddha, I call her Buddha, like as a
Oh,
nickname. So,
yeah.
because she just taught me so much about like unconditional love and sweetness and
Yeah.
just emotional sensitivity. Like I learned that deeply from a cat, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's why cats are so important to me on one level, just one level, right? So
Right.
he was looking at me the exact same way,
Mm-hmm.
So that's like look, a little story in itself. And I'm like, okay, there's something to this, but I wasn't sure. And so we go to adopt him the next day because we were like, okay, let's sleep on it and things like that. And I kept feeling like, I don't know, there's something off. That's why like I wasn't sure to adopt him, even though I really, really like him. And then when we got him, the rescue agency didn't let us know that he had a peen problem.
Oh,
Yeah, it's because he was so nervous and he didn't feel like he had a place of his own to call his own. Like he would
right.
mark territories and stuff like that. And so it's fine. It's just when he got here, he trusted us so
Yeah.
deeply. But as soon as he saw that there was another cat that we literally adopted the same day, he was
Right.
like, who the hell is that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pissed off.
Yep.
Like, like I thought this was my home. Who the hell is that?
Yep.
And so we have this like 8-week-old kitty causing havoc and like biting his brother, hitting him in the face, like, not wanting to come out of a room
Yeah.
because he's just like, I won't go out there because there's another cat out there. And it was, it was a
Right.
difficult first week. It was like raising a little toddler. It still is with him,
Oh,
but
yeah.
oh my gosh. And the last thing I'll say is the poor little guy, like he had an attachment issue. He still does.
Right.
And he'd be napping next to me. I would wake up to go get a cup of water or tea. And literally it would just be 30 seconds and I'd get up really softly because I didn't want to wake him up. And he would lift up his head because he would hear me getting up somehow. And he'd be like, where's she going? And I'd come back and he'd pee himself because he was afraid that I was going to leave and never come back.
Right.
You
That's
know
so
what I mean?
scary. Yeah, that you think about even adults or children, you know what I mean? They just all anxiety issues. The poor little
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. No, but
Yeah.
he's doing great. Like his name, he conquered his fears, his anxieties. He has confidence.
Love
Yeah,
that.
he's just way more sensitive than a normal cat to environmental changes. But
Mm.
he's such a mama's boy, and like
The
like
husband
he's
picked him, but
evolved.
he's yours. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there was the strong feeling. I just knew, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's something going on. There's something going on. And I remember I felt, last thing I'll say is when he came home, I felt like his energy, because I just scanned for just learning about him and his energy.
Mhm.
And I've never felt this on an animal, and
Right.
I've never felt this to such an extent where I put my hand above his crown chakra
Mhm.
and it was all like distorted, broken.
Oh, wow.
I'm like,
Wow.
what happened to you, little guy?
Oh, wow.
Like, it was like, his connection was like all like, and
Oh,
I just was like, like sending him loving energy. So like he really had a healing journey, like Oren, right?
right.
So yeah.
Wow.
Animals are like people to me, like seriously, they really are. So that's why I could
Right.
talk about them for hours.
I love that. I do. I love that because something said we needed to talk about animals for a few minutes, if nothing else today. Like somebody's out there thinking about their own animal, going, "Oh my God!" And you just help somebody,
I mean,
So I
animal
love
communication, like just in general, like on an energy like
Mhm.
level, is just fascinating. And you can go there the more deeper you have a connection
Mhm.
with anything. So some people have that connection very naturally, and
Mhm.
other people through the love of the connection. Like there's these beautiful moments that happen, and you're just like, whoa, that's a soul.
Yeah. And see, for myself, I can do animal communication. I really, really prefer not to.
Why not? This
Oh,
is communication. Why not? Tell me why. What happened?
well, it's funny because, like, if I'm doing a reading and an animal shows up, I go, ah. I literally get this anxiety in me. All of a sudden, it's like I'm a beginner in everything I do, and it's like, okay,
No.
I'm seeing a small fluffy thing, and I'm not sure if it's a cat or a dog, if it's brown or black or purple, or all of a
Oh,
sudden
it's
I
gonna,
go through
yeah,
this whole
I hear
thing in
you.
my head of
I hear
self-doubt,
you.
and it's never wrong. What spits out is never wrong. You know what I mean? But it's a self-doubt. And then it's like, then they'll be like, I want to talk to it. And then I'm like, please don't go there. Please don't go there every time. Because in my mind, this is what happened. And it happened one of the first times I ever talked to it was a dog. But because I was so afraid of talking to the dog, like, how do I talk to this dog? It showed up like a human soul. So
Yeah,
I'm looking at
yeah,
the dog, and I don't know if this is how it happens for everybody, but it gets confusing at me. I'm looking
yeah.
at the dog in my head, and I'm talking to a human soul about being the dog. And I'm like, okay, I know we were
That's
all animals
fantastic.
at one point. You know what I mean? We all were. But then she wasn't quite sure if I had her person because this was like a person and not a dog. I said, well, he's really not happy that you're getting this new dog. And she's like, wait a second. And I said, because he's always been a little dog. He's always been like a little shih tzu, blah, blah. I said, he wants to know why the hell you're putting him basically into a boxer's body and why you're putting him in that kind of an animal. Like he was not happy. And she's like, oh my God, I'm really looking at these things right now. And the way as the dog, he's always been for her because he keeps reincarnating for her from dog to dog to dog,
Wow.
which is really cool. This connection. She's like, I swear it's the same dog every time. And I'm like, he's telling me he is. So, I mean, I get confused in my head, you know what I mean? In my own mind, it's like I put my ego jumps in and I get, ugh, I don't know where to go with it. If that makes sense? If I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
get
yeah,
my
it
ego
does.
out, it's probably the most beautiful experience. I'm like, it's kind of like the old saying, if you don't like this life, you must have really hated the one when you were a rock. You know what I mean? But to wrap your head around the fact that you were a rock at some point is like, we have evolution. Our cells are evolving, just like everything else is evolving.
I can just, it's comedy what you're saying, but I can just imagine on some level. I have someone in spirit for you, and it's your pet rock.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's like, you know what I
Uh-oh.
mean? It's
That
like,
might not work yet. That's why.
yeah, but it's
I
like
don't
my
know.
head just goes, can't we just make this simple and just talk to dead people? But it's not how it works. I open up and it's going to be whatever. But every time I see an animal, I go, I'm not an animal communicator. I know I can't do
Yeah,
it. It's
I
just
hear
not
you.
my specialty.
It's like it's a diff.
It's a
How can I
genre.
put it? It feels so similar to mediumship,
Hmm.
like to me, honestly, but right, it's its own kind of facet because dogs and cats think differently than humans. They're
Yeah.
gonna have different, like, what the heck moments with their owners. They're gonna be talking about their kibble, not a
Yeah.
steak, not a
Yeah.
chicken, unless they got that.
Right.
Not tacos.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they're gonna be talking about grass a lot,
Yeah.
probably like stuff like that. So you have to think differently.
They're
It's
going to
kind of
talk
funny.
about what they seen you doing last night. I mean,
There can be that too.
and for myself, it's just, I'm not, so if somebody will go, hey, do you talk to animals? No, but you know what? I got some phenomenal animal communicators in my life, and I will hook you up with all of them.
Do
I
you
will.
get Well, I was gonna say, do you get this though? Like I don't, especially this year or last
Mhm.
year, animal communication hasn't been a big thing, but
Right.
continuously, like with any reading, with mediumship, or let's say if we're going into a family situation psychically, there will be a dog reference in
Mhm.
heaven.
Oh, yeah. I get that a
I
lot.
won't talk about the dog's personality probably
Right.
or the cat's personality, right? I'll just be like, "Oh, you have a dog and it's
Yep.
like this."
I get a lot of that. And a lot of times it is very quick, it's very sweet, it's beautiful, it's in, it's out. Um, which I really love that. And I will also tell you, animals, because I think spirit just knows that I get that right off the bat. It's like this feeling. They'll actually, and I've had this where it's like I have just, I'll put, and it's happened where I've had just a plain black cloth on my table at an event doing a reading. Nothing more than this black, just plain simple. And
Yeah.
I'm very, it's not my stuff, my event stuff is not near any animals at all. It's totally sealed up. And all of a sudden I'm picking dog hair off. I'm like, why am I pulling off like this dog, like shepherd wolf type hair? And they're like, oh my God, he just died yesterday. And that really has happened. It really has
I
happened.
believe it.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, so they will come in and really presence like that. And the person's looking at me like, what are you pulling off? And I'm like, all I can see is dog hair. And it's real dog hair I'm pulling off. Like I can see it and feel it. And it's very tangible to me, but they're looking at me like you done gone crazy on me. You know what I mean? So it comes in a lot of different facets, for me to see it. So it's always so beautiful when it does. I'm always in awe too because it's like you can talk to their grandma, you can talk to their mom, you can talk to whoever, blah blah blah. There won't be a tear, and all of a sudden you bring up their dog that showed up, and they're, it's like,
I mean, that's why animals are special, you know?
yeah,
Um, you don't have to say much for that to open up for a person because
yeah,
if the animal is coming in to say hi, like that's the animal consciousness. They're like, well, maybe we won't even say anything. We're just gonna give you our presence because it's gonna be so great for this person just to hear about how
right. Well, I've
Fido in
even,
heaven is watching over you.
yeah, I mean, I've even had it, and this is actually more recently where I'm doing a reading, and I'm like, this is really strange because I don't feel like you have animals. I don't feel like you're a real animal person. Not that you don't like them, but not an animal person. But you've got a big dog with you. You got
Huh.
like this big, scrappy looking dog with you. And they're like, I'm like, I don't know why it's there with you. Its energy is with you. I don't feel it's coming into your life. You've picked up a dog, and
There- there could be that because there's a connection to the family. Like a lot of times people will be like, "Oh, I don't know." I'm like, "No, there's a dog with you and it's connected to your family and you would have known this dog when you're young."
yeah,
Like, and you have, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's connected to something and something." And it's like whether or not they directly have an animal or whether or not they even like animals
right,
primarily in your life, kind of like you're mentioning. Like sometimes animals just come in because they're just like, look, we need to have people know that we exist
right.
and that we have a soul. So it's like they're doing work, even though the dog or cat met them when they were 5 years old. They're like,
Right,
hello, we're coming in. It's connected to
right,
the family. We're just talking about the family. Speaking of, cat and dog is with them. You would know.
right. Now I haven't, this is kind of switching off a little bit of subject here. How do you feel about doing readings about with just their guides? Just
Oh,
does that make sense to you?
yes,
Not
it
like, hey, you
does.
have a lot of guides, but because I personally don't, and I will tell people, I don't like, I will do readings where I talk from my guide to your guide or talk to your guide, but I don't want to introduce you to your guide. I don't want to, that's your
Yeah,
personal journey. That's just your
yeah,
personal journey. And that's where I like to leave it. You know what I mean? But
sure. I don't like to really do that either, because it's so personal.
hmm
And it's not something I specialize in. I think if anyone can provide evidence in their service, and that's something that they truly have an ability to do,
Mhm.
then go for it. Like everyone is going to have different talents just because that's not a typical way of necessarily doing things. Like we have not seen anyone in the mainstream, on TV, even like just promoting, I specialize in helping people learn about their guides. I've seen people go, oh, I do psychic readings and I do guide work, or I do mediumship readings and I can have you meet your guide. Like I've never seen anyone specialize solely in guide work like that. Maybe you have, I haven't. So
I have not yet. No.
exactly. So, like, I believe that it's possible. I do think, like, if you're going to claim to do that, you really have to have the chops and you really have to have the integrity connected to that. So, that's something that I don't think has been out there enough where people really have the talent with it. I will say this, though. When I'm meditating with people and I'm teaching them about their guides, when their guides come in, I can see them and feel them. But it's a very foremost for me, like psychic experience. It could, it has aspects of mediumship too, but it's a psychic experience because I go, I'm aware what you just experienced right now.
Right.
Let's talk about it. And I'm going to talk about what you experienced because we're sharing it collectively. We're either in the same space or I'm with you connected on Zoom. And I was in that moment with you. So I felt the energy with you. So we're going to talk about it. And I'm going to give you validation that you're not the only one that saw it. So we're going to talk about the colors around your guide. We're going to talk about how your guide felt. Like we're going to even talk about the hair you saw in that moment, because I saw that too. And when I get it really strongly, I mention it to them, and I do it in a way where we can each give each other feedback, where we're not feeding each other. So
Right.
I do like to do it in that way. If it comes up naturally, I'm not seeking that out. Sometimes when people kind of will put their attention on things like, oh, I had this experience and this happened to me. And they'll mention kind of some details. I'm like, oh, that sounds like a guide,
Right.
and then I'll get some evidence to support that. But I never try to focus on that because that, for me, I feel like guides do so much work behind the scenes. Like I'm not looking to pull open the curtain. I'm just looking to work with them, and I'm gonna, just receive what they're giving me. I'm letting them take the lead, not
Right.
me saying I'm going to go tell people, all about you and A to B and, just
Right.
how there's not as much meaning there. It's basically just like debunking things that people want to like prove that is not real, but it doesn't necessarily heal their life. There's not as much meat there. So it's
Right.
like, you don't really need to go there unless it spontaneously happens.
Right. I want to let everybody know as you're talking, we have scammers coming in. So you've been
Mm.
talking, I've been going in and blocking, going and blocking. So if you see me looking here and there, I'm still listening to you, but I'm blocking the scammers also. Well, I hate that because they always have to troll in, and it's like, oh my gosh, please, please don't go there. You know what I mean to people? So,
Well, I mean, hey, maybe there's like an energetic connection, because I do think that sometimes there are scammers connected to, I will give you a guide reading.
oh,
But I believe it's possible.
oh,
I believe it's possible, but it's like you need to have someone, giving testimony like, oh, I had a great reading, or, this is what they do. And there has to be evidence. It's not like, oh, that made me feel really nice, or like I'm gonna
yeah,
imagine now that my guide is a fairy, or like Cleopatra. It can't be because it sounds pretty and they give you descriptions. There has to be evidence attached to your life and something you've experienced personally, intimately.
exactly. Exactly.
And so, yeah, that's why. And they don't really, that's another one thing I'm going to say on top of that. So this is just like, kind of my logical brain coming in, and people developing their mediumship, because guide work primarily is mediumship.
Mhm.
Even though the most guide work I connect to is psychic, because I feel and see what someone else is experiencing, right? But if you really get into guide work, that's mediumship. And if you're developing and training, a lot of people they're not going to promote ever you to make that a service.
Exactly.
They're like, that is your spiritual inner work. Learning about your guides, learning about who you are, learning about your support system. That's not for you to tell someone about what it is about. You're going to confuse them. You're going to convolute things. Like, unless it comes up naturally, it's probably not the best idea to make that a service. That's how I feel about it.
Exactly. So let's get on to this year. What is this year number? I could listen to you all day, Kelly. I really could.
Well,
But I know
likewise.
everybody's like, oh my God, tell me this.
They're like cats and animal
Okay,
communication.
everybody, we're gonna get her to readings. So what is this year number for? What is the number for this year?
Okay, the number for this year is 6.
Oh,
Yep. So anytime the year changes, we get a new number, and the cycles flow sequentially. So, next year is going to be a 7. The year after that's going to be an 8, but we're in 6, and 5 was the previous year.
does that ever change with a leap year? Just out of question.
No, because it's funny because we kind of want to be so technical, but leap year is only like an extra day in the mix.
Right.
And I do sometimes wonder if, would it hit on like the lunar calendar, because that's like the true new year. But for some reason, energetically, the consciousness of the world really, adheres to that January 1st.
It's the one stable thing we have going for us.
Some of these things are built on consciousness. They're not just built on celestial like systems. It has to do with consciousness, with how we identify as things beginning. And so the world will gravitate to that because it's what we believe and it's how we function. And numerology really goes back to those principles of what we believe and how we function, like our names. Like when we change our name, whether we change it ourselves or we get married, our energy changes, and people treat us differently, and we actually take on different personality traits. That sounds very intense.
I can attest to it. I'll tell you what. When I stopped using my last name for virtually everything except for legal reasons, my energy has completely changed. Everything about me has changed.
Isn't it trippy? Yeah, I can attest to that too. My energy changed when I changed my name to be married. I know other people who've changed their names, or even they say, I prefer, you call me by this now.
Right.
Their energy, you see their energy starts to change, and it's not just because it's like, oh, like they're more outgoing, or, oh, they're taking charge of their life. No, if you actually know them, they'll actually take on different tendencies.
Right.
So it's quite like, whoa, if you think about that concept, but really we co-create our energy, and numerology does have an aspect of that. And that's why it's connected to consciousness rather than sometimes, oh, when does, the planet truly shift a new year?
Right.
Yeah.
So with this being a 6 year, what does that mean for us as a 6 year?
So being in a 6 year energy cycle, so that's collectively, that's the entire planet, right? And the theme is all about maternal protection, healing, what is closest to you regarding family, friends, like I like to say, cutting the fat, letting things go that don't serve us, in a way of our close relationships, and really understanding who's there for us, understanding what's important to us, what's sacred to us, so we can protect that.
Okay.
Okay, so we take in our inventory of people around us, and how we help people and how people help us. And so it's a very socially conscious and theme of family connected to that socially conscious understanding of who we are.
Okay. That makes sense.
It's 6 always has a strong feminine vibration to it, because it has like this maternal protection, nurturing. It's a very hardworking number, so usually there's a lot of change in a 6 year. And also 6 can be connected to your health too, because it's like, how are you protecting yourself? How are you managing yourself? How are you managing your environment? And 6 also deals with home life a lot. So it's a very personalized number, even though it has social aspects. And those aspects that are social aren't surface. They're very connected to what you consider to be, like I said, a second family, your main family, or like, your clan or your community that you identify with on a soul level.
Okay. That's cool. I like that. So, and Kelly's already ran my numbers because I asked her to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with my numbers, how does that? Because I know I'm all about 3s this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
3, 3, 3s all over the place. But how does that 6? Right, because this is also a 3 number for me this year. I think is what you said. Or no, go ahead. So how does that resonate within my life? Does that make sense?
Yeah, great question. So there's a world cycle.
Okay.
And the world cycle applies to everybody, and there's different numbers within the world cycle. So like 6 is just the main one, but there's other world cycles going on too. And then we have individual cycles, that we spin through as well. And yes, that will be either harmonious with the world cycles or more difficult with the world cycles. Absolutely. So you are in a cycle of 9. You have a lot of 3s in your chart. You have a sprinkling of 9s in your chart. And so 3, 6s, and 9s, those are like considered to be harmonious cluster numbers in the type of numerology that I do. So that lets me know that since you're in a cycle of 9 personally, you're in a world number of 9, and you have, again, these 3s and 9s in your chart, it lets me know that you're going to be supported by the world in a way where you have a lot of harmony going for you this year. Okay, so it's like things will be easier to accomplish. You'll have less resistance. People will come find you. 3, 6s, and 9s are people numbers. So people will come and find you, communications about you and what you do. And, business, all of that will be easier. And, the theme within the 6 connected to your life is like really strengthening family and taking inventory of self, like on a health and wellness level. And, like I know some things about you, of course, but that's what I would say to anyone, honestly. I don't just say it to you because I'm like, oh, I kind of know some things, but yeah.
It's been a big journey for mine lately. So yeah, and I like that. Well, I wanted you, because I already know my numbers, so we don't have to talk about those because you went over them. It's like, oh my God.
Well, I was going to say, I actually did, because I did a mini with you, but I actually ran some of more of your stuff.
Please do.
There's always, I'm telling you, there's always more to do.
I'm getting bonus.
You could do for like a life chart reading. So there's different types of numerology readings. Like these are minis, and you can look at somebody's chart. In a chart reading, depending on how much you want to say, right, and how much someone wants to know, could be like 2-3 hours.
And I'm like an open book. I don't even care.
Well, I'm just saying there's always something to pull from, you know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, like let's read your numbers and then, yep, that's who you are. It's like, no, we could keep going. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah.
So, And this is really fascinating, I think, and I'm gonna have to ask you because I know that your name is DeEtte Renee.
Yeah.
And I know that, you've been married and had different names, and
I've
I don't
actually
know.
always been single, but I've had 2 names because
Oh,
I was born with 1 name, and then I was, half adopted, so I got a different name at 5.
okay, that's because I remember you told me you changed your name, so I just like assumed that you
No,
took. So yeah, so forgive
no,
me, I assumed.
nope, you're fine, and it's just that, about 5 years ago, 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever it was, I just decided that the last name that I carry doesn't really resonate anymore. I legally haven't gotten rid of it, but it's something I don't put on anything. Unless I legally have to sign it, I don't associate it with it anymore. Even when I
Okay,
go to sign it, it's like this half backwards S and just
yeah,
like I give no energy to it at all anymore.
you
So,
know, and that's the name that I ran too. So I ran the previous one, and then I ran DeEtte Renee,
right.
and both of them actually are
They're
good for
similar.
you.
Yeah.
Actually, both of them are good for you.
Yeah.
Um, there's a reason why you would feel stronger with DeEtte Renee, and we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
So, okay, so as what would you like to start with your previous name or your current name? You get to choose.
My current one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, DeEtte Renee,
Mhm.
with that, and we can talk about what it means. You're a soul 4, a personality 4, and a power 8.
Okay.
Okay. So your soul number is about kind of what makes you happy, what makes you tick. If you are aligned with this energy, you feel just like at peace and
Mhm.
safe. And that is a 4. And so when you have, and this is different from your previous name, right now you've reached a certain place within your life where if things are planned, if things are organized, if things are thought ahead, you're content. It used to not be that way.
No, I was no. Night and day
Now,
different. Yeah.
used to be a 3 in that category, and that 3 is, like, okay, things are up in the air, and I'm going to do things more so for other people than myself,
Mhm.
and I just want everyone to have a good time.
Yep.
So if things are chaotic, that's okay, because we're just going to make it work, and it's going to be fun, and I'm going to make sure it smiles on your face.
And that was a huge change when I stopped using that last name because my life was very chaotic, and I lived in that very well. Very well. I don't anymore. It's like, no, I don't want the chaos.
Like, no thanks.
I always thought that was because I grew up.
Sometimes there's themes of that, right? But
Right.
now it's actually because your priority for what makes you feel at peace has totally changed based on your energy. Um, and your personality is a 4 too. So there's more of a seriousness to you now. And because of that, so we're gonna jump. So previously you had a 9 personality.
Mhm.
Both are actually good numbers with people being receptive, with people kind of taking you at face value.
Mhm.
The reason why I say that is certain numbers can be, I guess, perplexing to people when they first kind of come across, a person. They go, "Oh, like, should I trust you?" Some
Mm.
numbers give that off, or some numbers give a standoff-ish vibe. Some numbers give like a timid vibe even sometimes.
Right.
But with your previous number, you were a 9, so you come across as a very capable person. Unfortunately, sometimes people will take advantage of that because they'll go, "Oh, you can do it," but I
Mhm.
don't want you to know that I believe in you, so I'm not going to pay you what you're worth,
Yep.
but I'm going to give you all the responsibility.
It's exactly how life was too. Yep.
Yeah. People actually deeply connect to you, and people actually on a soul level respond to you like either longing or knowing you can help. So you have a lot of people attach themselves to you.
Mm-hmm.
That can be for a positive reason, and that can be also for a very conflicting, complicated reason.
Right.
But people naturally, would gravitate to you and find you
Right.
and want things from you.
Mm-hmm.
And with your numbers, with having a lot of these threes we're talking about and the nines in your chart in other places and here,
Right.
you would be like, okay, I'm going to figure out how I can help you. Let me just try to do it. And it would just be like, sometimes you'd have to put on a show to get through it all because you're like, I don't really want to be doing this, but I want to make people happy.
Mm-hmm. That's how I used to be all the time. Yeah. It was very aggravating. It was a lot. It was a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot. And these are like, seriously, this is just showcased in the numbers. So you had previously, you had a soul 3. We talked about that. You had personality 9. We just talked about that. And you had a power 3 on top of that. So I want you to think about it with the numbers that we talked about previously. You have 3, 2, 3. 3, 9, 3. You had 4 3s in your chart previously in prominent placements.
Right.
So life was a whirlwind, and it was all about, like I said, the other people. And that's why that comes across so strongly. Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you changed your, I consider it you changing your name, but
It was really essentially it was. Yeah.
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 As you become this vibration of, more and more, and you are. Your power is an 8 now. So when someone has a power 8, what makes them satisfied, what makes them successful, it's kind of ironic, is when you put your foot in business, when you put your foot in enterprise, it's like you come alive. And because 8 is all about, it's a money number, but it's an entrepreneurial number, and it's a number of taking charge of your life and being the boss and being savvy and having a lot of satisfaction and accomplishments through what you're able to create. And so, like, when you put your foot in the business world, like things just align. And that was not the case before because with a power 3, the objective is to have, and the luck of that is having fun, meeting people, having fun. So you always had a way of people finding you. You always had a way of making good connections, but some of those things would fall through.
Right.
And with this, with the power 8, the opposite of that will be happening where, your chart still supports people coming to find you because you have so many 3s naturally, but things will actually stick, and it's almost like you'll have like this surplus and surge of luck as long as you represent yourself in a way where you're like, this is me, these are my boundaries, and I'm doing things this way. Things will stick because people go, oh, this is the truth of who you are, and I feel that, let's manifest together.
And that is strange. I'll tell you what, and I can attest to that because it was, I started to diss myself from my old last name, my last name 5-6 years ago, but it was strongly about 2 years ago that I wiped it off my business. I wiped it. I mean, even to the state, if I go to report who I am, it's DeEtte Renee. That's it. You know what I mean? That's my business. That's my name. That's it. And that's how I represent myself. And literally, I tell people this, the minute I stopped using the last name in business, all of a sudden I was able to retire from nursing. I was able to create my business. I was able to it went from, and every year it's gained in business. You know what I mean? It just gains momentum every year, and it's incredible. And I have always said it's because I stopped using that last name. Like I just energetically changed myself, and I didn't know how I did it. I just know it happened at the same time.
So the cool thing is you have much more complexity with DeEtte Renee. And formerly you had intensity in 3s and intensity in, I guess, the craziness of what people could bring to you. You know, it was almost like I said, overwhelming with all those threes. But the one thing that I really want to share that I think is the coolest thing is with the soul 4 and the personality 4 and the power 8, they're all master vibrations. So you actually have a soul 22, a personality 22, and a power 44.
Oh.
And that's not typical at all. So how cool is that, right? You have master numbers. Yeah, like the way things added up, they just were, it's just like 22, 22, and then you have that 44. And so anytime a number has a master vibration attached to it, there is a greater weight of responsibility. So you're going to always feel like if you're not doing something, you're going to be like, I need to be doing something. We're going to feel called to help. And so just like, you know, be easy on yourself, because you know, you're going to naturally just want to take on a lot, but you know, that's who you are. Right. You will also, with that 4, even though you want to plan and be, you know, more methodical and not as on the fly with your life, you're going to have this desire to build. You're going to have this desire to like bring people to you and give them something and to create something larger than yourself. So, you know, like a school, you know, will be emerging, something where people can come find you and know about you beyond just like, hi, I'm DeEtte and I do readings. It's like, you know, this is part of it. You have your radio show, and it's just like more and more projects where people can find what you stand for, whether it be a physical location or whether it be, you know, like a mission statement. Like you have this desire to build, and these master vibrations always come with universal themes. So to get it out to as many people as possible, you know, it's not just community. It's like beyond states, beyond countries. So, yeah, you have that, and you have the master vibration every single category in this part of your chart. So that's why DeEtte Renee has so much charge behind it. That's why there's so much magic behind it. And that's why you feel more alive with it too, because they're very expansive numbers.
Yeah, it makes sense too. And you wouldn't believe how many people in the last year have started calling me Miss Renee or Mrs. Renee. And I'm like, I'll take it. I'll take it. You don't need to know it's my middle name, but I'll take it. You know what I mean?
Miss Renee, I like it.
Take it. It's just taking on the energy of it. I'm saying, hey, I'm just 2 names now. I don't need the extra. You know what I mean? I don't need the extra. So I love that. You know, so thank you so much. It does. Like, thank you.
It sounds nice. It sounds melodic. It feels right.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, wanted to present that to you like as a little surprise on the side, because I'm like,
thank you. I wasn't expecting that at all. So I appreciate that. But I also think it shows everybody that, you know what, because like today, matter of fact, everybody, while we're talking, throw your birth date in there, month, day, and year, because Kelly's going to get that in a second. But she's not going to be breaking down names, guys, okay? Because that's a lot more work. It's a lot more work. But you can see how everything about you, you know, there's so many different modalities, different ways, you know, like, and it's weird because I've had a lot of psychic readings. I've had recently astrology readings. I have been having trance medium readings lately. I've been like, you know, like, what's going on with me? Like I can energetically feel like something major is shifting. And I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? Because I can feel this huge shift happening within me. And then, you know, the astrology in your reading are just like boom, 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 right on. Like, you know, every one of these readings are like, and none of you know each other. You know, it's California, Las Vegas, UK. There's no way. And all of you are saying the same exact thing, which is just huge. Huge. So people look, I mean, I'll tell you what, you just seen a small sample of what Kelly can do. And I'll tell you what, it helps you make so much sense. Okay. So even though she's doing mini reads for us today, reach out to her. She's got tons of information for you. Okay.
Yeah, and
Tons of information.
I'm very passionate about it. What can I
Yeah.
say? And like I said, so much to do with it. In the future, if you ever want to do it, we can do name readings, but people would have to like give me a little heads up.
I need a
They have to
submission
write
ahead of
in.
time.
They
And
have
you
to
know
write
what?
into
Maybe
it.
we'll do that the next time. We'll just go, hey, you know what I mean? To a few lucky people, I'll do it, you know, like, hey, be the 5th or the 6th or the 7th person to comment. And the next time Kelly's on, you know, and it'll be a surprise show, guys. Not today, not today. I'll have you submit your names to me. You know what I mean? And then I'll send them over to Kelly so that, you know, and then you'll have to show up for your reading, okay, on the show. It will be alive though, okay, guys? It will be alive. Maybe we'll even go if my producer doesn't rip all the hair out of his head. I will see if he can bring in a third person so that when you're getting your reading, you can actually be looking at Kelly. We might just up the game here, guys, especially now that she's given us a little bit more of a taste. Okay. So let's go with the first lady. Her name is Mary Spindler, 9171. And thank you guys for being patient. I know it's always like, oh my God, where is she going today? But I really wanted you to see so much more than just the birthday. And I'll tell you what, Kelly can honestly, and I do this, I look at the street I live on, my address, all that stuff makes sense. It's like I'm a medium. Guys, I live on Cemetery Road. That's not a fluke, okay? You know, and there is a cemetery a half a block away at the end of the road, you know, and it's all of that stuff. Energetic really plays into who you are and what you do.
Yep.
So Mary, are you listening?
Where you live, you know, what the, you know, energy of your business name, it all supports you, or it's in conflict sometimes. A challenge, I like to say, more than conflict.
110%. So what's there for Miss Mary?
Okay, Mary is cool. Mary is a character. Like, first of all, I love her picture. Like, how cool is that?
That is a cool picture.
Speaking of animals, right? So yeah, what's really cool is, and I'm just double checking it, and this is right, but every time I see stuff like this, I go, oh, wow, that's cool. It's kind of like, you know, with your reading, I'm like, oh, that's so fascinating. We have a unique, right, configuration. Yeah. Mary has a unique situation too as well. She's a 111.
Oh.
Yeah. So when people are like triple numbers, like their personality is intensified within the category of, you know, with one at least, being independent, being a free spirit, being a free soul. Like, they march to the beat of their own drum. They do what they want to do. They do the way they want to do it in completely, like, you know, what pertains to them. Sometimes advice is something they just don't take unless
right?
unless they specifically want it and like they're begging for it. They're just like, I'm gonna do things this way and then peace out to everybody. And if you try to tell them otherwise, they'll just be like, yeah, sorry, bye.
Right.
So with Mary, what she's dealing with this year, this is actually harmonious for her. It might feel like kind of not quite what she's used to, but the year that she's coming into is a 7 for her cycle. And that's a quieter time, a time about introspection, a time about spiritual development for her. And when you have a lot of 1s in your charts, especially in important placements, you want to go, do. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, 1s are always accomplishing a goal, you know, or that next whatever that kind of wakes them up in the morning. They need something to fuel them. And if they are not doing something, if they're not go and active, they actually feel like sometimes stiff in their body, or like they'll manifest kind of like these aches and pains because their energy feels stiff. So their body starts feeling stiff. And that's why they've been conditioned all their life to go, 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 do, 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 because they just don't feel right inside if they're not. And
Right.
this year for her is all about like, you can still go, 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 do, 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 but it has to be all in service of learning about yourself. So it's like, you need to learn about your body more. You need to learn about your diet more. You need to learn about like your bones, your muscles. You need to learn about even exploring meditation. I'm not saying you're gonna love it. I'm not saying that everything's gonna gel with you, but you got to learn about yourself and your inner thoughts and why things come up and what that means, because that's your inner compass. So if you really want to go, 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 go and do because you like to do that, you learning about your compass, you can do that the most effectively. And you can do that with the most results and the most, joyous feeling on top of that, like the meaning of life for you. 7 is all about truth. 7 is all about wisdom. And in order to do that, you're going to have to go within. And yeah, life might seem slower paced. You might not be as social. And you might notice that you're like, wow, like, every time I do something, it gets canceled. It's because you're going to have to spend your time at home a little bit more this year and focus on you. And so just heads up for that. And I promise it will be very stimulating once you just let go. Yes. So you won't be bored. That's what I'm giving to her. You're not going to be bored. You might be a little frustrated, like, I'd rather be doing this, doing that. Like, no, instead of hugging your dog, hug yourself.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Instead of going, oh, like, come here, what's going on with you? Hug yourself and be like, oh, wow, like my shoulders, wow, like my shoulders feel like stiff, or just hug yourself, or just be like, what the heck's going on with Mary? Okay, so that's what it's all about. That's my advice to her based on her numbers, and I hope she kind of had some insight with why she's so like, always on to the next and passionate and so headstrong because of her numbers.
Love it. I love it. Thank you, Miss Mary, for showing up and waiting. Miss Vicky is next. And her numbers are, I'm blocking people again really as fast as I can. Mary says you were spot on. Spot on.
Awesome.
Vicky is February 2/26, 1951.
2/26, 1951. Okay. And we got, I love every time I do this show with you, there's a theme.
Is there?
There is, that comes out with like the numbers, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for instance, Vicky is an attitude 1, just like Mary. There's similarities with clusters of numbers. It's great. Always. Okay. So then we got 6 and a 7. Okay. And then, okay. Yep, that's right. I'm double checking one more time. 6 and a 7. Yep, that's right. Okay. So Vicky has a cluster of numbers where she's a 1-8-8. She's an attitude 1, a personal day 8, and a life path 8. And so with Vicky, she's naturally headstrong too, because anytime someone's an attitude 1, like I said, doesn't matter what you tell them, right? If they have an opinion, they have an opinion. I'm gonna call out my mom for 1 second. Sorry, Mom, but my mom's an attitude 1, and it's like sometimes there's been times where I'm like, Mom, this is important, and she's just like, I'm doing something else right now, and I'm like, okay, all right, I'll let you do that. Like it doesn't matter. Right? Sometimes they're off doing their own thing. I'm like, I'm gonna let you go do that, okay? Mm-hmm. And if there's something so important that I have to tell them, it's not gonna stick. Right? It's not gonna stick until you have their attention and they're like, okay, now what do you want? No matter what you say, it's not going to stick. Anyway, so attitude ones, that's actually really good because, you know, no one's going to manipulate an attitude one.
Love that.
Sorry, it doesn't work like that. So with Vicky, she has 8s and 1s. And when you have 8s, there is always a sense of making sure that you're not overthinking, making sure that you're not having to be like perfect, making sure that you are just kind of enjoying the fruits of your labor, because 8s, they think so much, they observe so much detail, and they are highly capable individuals because they're like, oh, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like, okay, in order for this to be done right, I have to assess all these things and do it like that. And it can be exhausting, and they're willing to do the work. So one, they have to give themselves credit for doing the work, even if it's partial the work, because even partial the work for an 8 is equal to sometimes what someone else would do if they put their all into it. That's how much an 8 takes on. And it's kind of just like, hey, like, you need to celebrate your life. You need to like throw yourself like a little party, you know. And I say that in a way where it's like, go out to lunch and treat yourself, you know. You know, really sit back and let yourself know that you've put in a ton of work and you need to start giving yourself a break. Because it's like, I feel like with Vicky, there's always something more that needs to be done. Even if something is accomplished, even if something goes great, she's just like, okay, all right, now I have to do this. Like, the work is never over. And the thing is, so many people, lives are better from the amount of work and the amount of thought she puts into things, that she needs to like celebrate how much change that she's given to people. So my advice, just feeling her energy, is kind of like, just sit down, take a breath, look around where you live, and go, I did this. Like, I did this, and I have dreams of what I want, but let me just appreciate that I have this, and let me appreciate a couple of things that I have done in my life. And so think over the last 10 years, and I promise you'll be like, whoa, I did that. So it's like the appreciation for life. I want to give her that, because that's an enormous amount of wealth that sometimes I think is overlooked. There's wealth in many different categories of life, and she's extremely, extremely wealthy with what she's been able to do and accomplish and bring to other people. So I want to give her that.
Oh, I love that.
She is in a cycle of 7-2 as well, just like Mary. Look at that. And so this year, again, I told her to kind of sit back, take in everything. That's kind of the theme of things. Slow it down, you know, appreciate, invest in yourself in ways that you haven't done yet, which you say to yourself, well, it would be nice.
Right.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, it would be nice. And we only get one lifetime as Vicky. I only get one lifetime as Kelly. We'll have other lifetimes, I believe. You know, we only get one lifetime as DeEtte. So make it real nice for Vicky.
Yes. I love that.
Yep, that's my advice to Vicky, and to really understand, like, you know, what that means to you, because it's not about having the best this and that in accordance to what is considered quality, or what brand is considered the best, or, you know, even having lunch in the nicest place in town or ordering the most fancy thing on the menu. It's not about any of that. It's about really, what do you want? And you deserve it. And if it's a little bit more expensive and you think it's kooky, still do it. That's what this year is about. Tend to yourself, find what you really want. And that might take a hot second, but find out what you really want.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And it's a great advice too. We are going to flip to we are actually going to flip we're going to Courtney Lappin. She's been on since the very beginning and was asking for a reading right at the very beginning. But when I asked for numbers, she was a little bit slow at getting them in there. So I want to honor her. And hers are 4/16/1996. And then we're going to go back to the chain of command, guys, of who was next. Okay.
And a lovely thing Courtney is reminding me of, if you are from the UK or you're outside the United States and use a different like calendar system, if you can, write in the month, because that way I know that I'm not mixing up your day and your month, because I could mix you up and then the reading changes. So
That's
sorry.
true. I guess I just naturally knew it when I looked at it, but you're right, because if she's like a 4/4, we're in trouble, aren't we? Or a 4/3. Yep.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Like the 4/4, the numbers would practically be the same, but right for a different number, you'd different reading. Oops.
Exactly.
Okay. So it would be like psychically what I'm saying you could resonate with, but the number part, like, woo, we might be a little off. But it's a good time. Okay. So 7, 2, and then LP. So she's 7. Yep. Just double checking the math. Okay. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Always got to double check that math early in the morning. You got to do it. Okay.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
What'd you say? Did you say something?
I said exactly.
Courtney is an attitude 2. So anytime someone's an attitude 2, I always advocate, don't feel guilty for taking a break where you're removing yourself from an environment. If you have to take extra long time in the bathroom, or if you're just kind of like, sometimes people consider the odd duck, in a different like room, just chilling for a second, like at family gatherings, like, oh, why are you in the study? Like everyone's having dinner right now. Like, where did you go? And you're like, oh, I just was doing something really quick. It's because you needed to reset your energy. Like naturally you will be an empath if you are an attitude 2, and it's to what extent you want to use that as. You're also a life path 9, so that means naturally you kind of don't have as much as a decision on that. If you are a life path 9, you're kind of pulled into other people's things. So please, boundaries are so important for you to learn about, with relationships, with family, with friendships, with your job, with everything. You will always find yourself being pulled into things and you're like, why am I here? And just set up places for yourself where you're in nature, where you can filter out that excess energy, or where you can be creative with all of a sudden, like you're in a random different room and you need to check out for an extra 5 minutes. Like, give yourself permission. You need it. So you can feel like yourself again. So I want to give that to you. And it's almost like when people meet you, I feel like they don't understand you when they first meet you, because you have so many different parts to your personality. When people meet you, first they think like you're serious, or like you're quiet, and really like, you're larger than life. You're silly, you're creative, you have really unique perspectives that like intrigue a lot of people. And it's almost like, I don't know, when you attract people into your life, sometimes you wonder, are these people like truly here for me? And did I attract good people into my life. And the beauty of that is that you in every day and every moment can evaluate that decision and be like, I'm not sure about this, so I'm going to increase my boundaries until I get clear signs if I want this person in my life. And again, I employ you to be empowered within that. I employ you to not be guilty within the fact that you are drawing clear lines. Let's see, you're in a cycle of 8. This is a really good year for manifesting for you. The trick is you have to be clear about what you want, and that might take a little personal inventory. That's okay. But once you figure out what you want, once you figure out what is really going on, you're going to be able to make money faster. You're going to be able to have things come to you. Doors are going to open. It's a very good year for that. But also, this is a year, anytime someone has a cycle of 8, pay close attention to your health, because if you're not listening to your health, even though you're young, there's going to be an ache or pain somewhere. It's like your stomach's going to feel a little more off than it usually is. It's like, listen to your body. 8 is about the year of truth. You don't pay attention, car's going to start breaking down, body's going to start acting a little weird, things are going to start being a little off. So again, boundaries and really paying attention to what's going on, and actually things can be easier than not if you do those things. So
love that. Hopefully that helped, Miss Courtney. And Frank, you are up with 2/21/1964.
Every time I see like 1964, I'm like, Year of the Dragon.
I'm thinking Year of the Best Car.
For what model?
I am a Camaro fan. I have been for years. I mean, I've gotten off of it recently. I'm not like diehard like I used to, but the Mustangs, the Camaros, those years were freaking phenomenal for cars. They've gone downhill ever since,
I actually
there's a reason why you didn't have to wear seatbelts in a 1960 something cars, because you couldn't get crushed.
There is more so of that. For real. Just checking the math really quick.
Sorry, it's the way my head wraps around things sometimes,
No, it's funny because there was a phase where I was kind of like into cars. Because I was like, I'd watch movies. I'm like, oh, that's like a cool car, and I want to learn kind of more about this. And there was a time where I was in high school where I really thought Camaros were awesome. But then I noticed that the more and more, just like you said, the most updated Camaros were not nearly as cool. So I'm like, I like Camaros, but I don't. And like, even in my high school yearbook, there's like a reference to me like talking about how I want a Camaro. It's just like kind of
well,
funny.
I've owned two. So matter of fact, my last one was a 1972 and a half. So it was technically a 73, but it was the last year that a car came off the line of General Motors where they didn't shut down for that transition. So like I had the round taillights of a 72, but it did not have the split bumper. So yeah. I even kept that car until it rotted, literally.
You're gonna have to show me some pictures.
I'm curious. I will.
So speaking of like cars and living by the seat of your pants, I think Anne can understand that. She's an attitude 5, and when someone's an attitude 5, they are here for life being a party.
Yes.
So they're on the fly. They have a hearty like laugh. They're in the mix, and they're extroverted with the way that they love life and love people in it. So like I said, if your family or friends, or if they like you, they're gonna buy you a drink and toast to you.
I want to do a shout out. Hello, Whitney Beamish, first person from Australia to watch the show that I've noticed. So hello.
Wow.
I'm celebrating that today.
Cool. That's a good accomplishment.
That's huge. Thank you, Whitney, for tuning in.
We've had a lot of people from the UK, so first from Australia.
I
Interesting.
love this.
So with Anne as well, it's interesting because she is a life path 7. So the way she goes about things is actually much more methodical than a typical 5. But she has that 5 and 7 energy. So she is like this very like quick whip smart person. Okay. So she picks up things very quickly. If you show her something, it's almost like she's like, yep, got it, let's go. And she'll, is not afraid to test it out, try it out. So she just absorbs things, and she's always kind of like, again, on the fly. When you have a lot of mental energy like she does, it's kind of sometimes hard to relax. And even when you're relaxing, sitting down, you're thinking about something, whether it's like something from the past, or you're thinking about something, whether it's something you're learning right now, like your mind's always on, it's always turning, right? So yeah, I think the number one thing I want to recommend to Anne is I would like her, again, I'm talking about meditation for people, because meditation is a very powerful thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of people are going to like meditation. I don't think Anne is one of them, particularly, who's going to like meditation.
I've been forcing myself into it lately.
I think it would be really interesting for Anne to try something like meditation or Reiki, where, again, she could just like lay back, shut off her mind, and kind of just like zen out and see what happens, kind of feel her energy, learn about her energy, and go like, oh my God, turning off my mind, or when I turn off my mind, what then happens? That's a completely other world I have not even tapped into. And there's so much information and there's so much stuff that I have not even thought about. It's going to get her thinking even more and even more excited about spirituality. Yeah, the Zen part we're going to have to come back to. But if you're really, really wanting to kind of go, where do I go next with my spirituality, and how do I evolve myself? And I want to get more into that.
Mm-hmm.
Get a session. That will really get your head turning. Okay. I'm telling you, your mind's going to be blown, because a lot of stuff is going to be happening. So I want to encourage her to do more of that and have more spiritual experiences where she can evolve herself by being really excited, by having, these tangible things that happen to her that is just going to blow the lid off of what she knows reality to be. So I'm excited for her within that.
I am too, because I know a little bit about Anne, and she does amazing artwork. And I'm thinking, if she meditated, got into that zone, and then did the art, oh my God.
Well, I mean, it could be the year of, having spiritual sessions with different modalities that just give her, like I said, I keep gravitating with her to her trying different things. Where she shuts off her mind, and it's just like there's this new level of understanding that just blasts out from inside of her, and she gets to develop this whole other area where she's like, I didn't know this existed.
Exactly.
And maybe, like, I do feel like she's spiritually connected, so I'm sure she's had certain experiences, but there's something about this year where things are just gonna change.
I'm gonna tell you though, I keep seeing, you brought up the dragon, she brought up the dragon, and I keep seeing her getting like a little logo with a little dragon. She can like just do a little stamp on everything she creates, just as like, this is her mark, like this. So in 50, 60 years, when Anne's no longer with us, they'll know her artwork, like this is her, the dragon.
I just think like the N is funny, she's like, I am the dragon,
I love that. I can see
something like that, like, duh, like, why not, right? Like, what a cool symbol.
Why not? I'll tell you what, everybody sees a raven, they think of me. So I'll tell you what, there's not too many people that don't see ravens and go, oh my God, it's DeEtte.
I think about ravens with you. Yeah, I do. I think about the fairies, ravens, the forest, the color green with you. That's what
Yep.
I think about.
I love that. I love that. Made my mark.
She's in a year of, you have. She's in a year of 6. I just want to give this to Anne. So really, it's about kind of making some hard decisions. It's in that like family or friends that are like family sphere, and kind of just telling people what you think. And after you tell a person what you really think, seeing how much they are able to support you from that, and saying goodbye or having a new type of elevated relationship with those around you, because you are saying these are my needs, are you going to help support me? So that's going to be a theme coming up within this year. And so there's going to be a lot of change. And I really do think this is a significant busy year for you. You're going to have a lot on your plate. It's going to be kind of like you're pulling out your hair sometimes, but you're going to have a lot of discovery, and that's good for you.
She said she started hypnotherapy, so it's been very life-changing.
Okay, that's one of the modalities. Okay, more modalities, I'm telling you. It will satisfy your soul. You are a life past 7. You like information. You like trying new things. I'm telling you. I'm glad you're doing the hypnotherapy. Throw in some more modalities there. Reiki, get a mediumship reading, or get a psychic reading, or acupuncture. I'm telling you, just whatever, where you can just either check out and go, ooh, this is what's going on with me, or you're with somebody talking and they're talking about your energy, and you go, oh yeah, like actually this and that. And so, yep, that's the theme of the year.
I love it. Our next one is Heidi Johnson Bruce, and she is 3/30/1972.
Heidi and 3/30/1972. Attitude 6, 83, and then 9, and this is the 1, and okay. Just checking the math on that. Yep, that's right. Okay. So Heidi is a life path 7 as well. We need to make sure, you're stimulated, learning. You are in a cycle of 7 as well. Okay, so life path 7, you're in a cycle of 7. When people share the vibration of their life path and their cycle number being the same, it's a transformative year. Things are easier. You find yourself being yourself more authentically easier. It's almost like, okay, wow, I was able to do kind of always what I wanted to do, or, people are kind of opening doors for me, like opportunities are dropping into my lap. It's a satisfying year. So 1, you have a nice year to look forward to, with many ahas, epiphanies, and growth. And that will be less hair pulling. So there's that to look forward to. Your attitude is 6. So you are foremost with the way that you love within your friends and family, and environments where you spend a lot of time. So even in work, you are a protector. Like, you are say it like it is type of person. You either like someone or you don't like them. People inherently trust you. You really give your all, and at the end of the day, all you want is a thank you. You put your heart and soul into things, and all you want is for people to sometimes appreciate you going the extra mile, because that's who you are. You're a person that will spend an extra hour or 2 to make sure it's done right. And with family, you're the type of person, you'll stay up all night, drive 1,000 miles if somebody needs something. Again, you'll do it, as you're like, these are my people, right? Personal dating. So one of the things that jump out at me is health. When someone's in attitude 6 too as well, They take on so many things for other people that sometimes they don't pay enough attention to as well. Their health. They take on so many things for other people that sometimes they don't pay enough attention to as well. It's looping. I'll just keep talking.
Yeah, it was on my end. I apologize.
Oh, no, it's okay. I'm just making sure you can hear me and I can hear you. And I'm like, oh, wow, that sounds very busy.
Takes a whole new level of reading, huh?
Yeah. Well, like with Heidi, I just feel like she gives so much in her life to feel fulfilled is always about like, helping family, helping friends, that I feel tired. Like, I feel like that's been like a natural kind of existence for her, where feeling tired is natural. And she's like, well, what are you going to do? Things have to get done. And it's just like, I need you to sleep for a little longer. You know what I mean? I need you to kind of just coast for a little bit. And I need you to be really sensitive also to what you're putting in your body. I feel like it's almost like that coffee really kind of jolts me, and I need to be jolted awake because I feel so tired, and that's how I function. But it's like, whoa, I feel like you're kind of just jolting yourself, and you're kind of just hanging on by a thread sometimes, and sometimes it's just natural and normal, and sometimes it's like you really feel it. And going into next year, I think there might be some like, flashing like warning, pay attention to me signs. And in this year, when anyone has a cycle 7, again, there's this theme of slowing down. It seems to be, right, what we're talking about. It's like, slow down and, put some extra time into yourself. Make a doctor's appointment, make a spa appointment. Really take into account what your daily routine is. I feel like you've been on the fly for so long that you haven't even had time to go, oh, does this daily routine work for me? Does this schedule work for me? Is what I'm eating working for me? And it is bigger picture. The reason why I say this, because it's not just like, oh yeah, like it's food. It's not just food. It's like literally the energy you're putting in your body. And if, your body is going to reject it or not, work so good based on just the food choices. So that's really coming into effect. It's like health, food, schedule, even like coffee, what you're drinking, just snacks, and just like pushing yourself. I think you deserve a little bit of just a gentler year. That's all I'm saying. Treat yourself a little gentler. And you might be like, this is weird, but I do think you'll go, I need to look at some things. So that's what comes up. That's what primarily comes up. You do so much for other people. Reach out to some other people and they can do some stuff for you. And that's where I think a lot of interesting things will come forth for you this year.
I love that. Thank you. So she says, spot on. My son and I are going to a spa next month. She said, I lost my daughter last year, so I hope this year is going to be better for me. I think you couldn't have done better. That's amazing. We got time for one more, guys, and we're going to bring in Teresa Hizel Schwaz. I picked her because not only was she next, but she's got 6/29/1967, but she tried to do the numbers, and she wants to know if she's right with those.
Okay. 40. Maybe she did her life path. Let me see. Add to 8 and personal day 2, and then life path is
somebody on the feed was talking about how to do the numbers, add the numbers up. And
so add the numbers up. So like your life path is adding everything up, for instance. For your attitude number, that's taking your month and your day and reducing it down to a single digit. And then your personal day number is adding just the day you're born. So Teresa is like the 29th. So that's 2 + 9. So she's a 2, right? With her personal day. But she's an 8 with her attitude because 2 + 6 is an 8. And then with her life path, you take the 8 plus the year that she was born. And so that would be 4. And so So what she did was she did her life path. So yes, your life path is right. You are a 4.
Beautiful. Because I know the lady that was talking about it, but, she's like me. She takes out a book, but she doesn't, maybe not always, not as detailed as you.
Well, I mean, sometimes there's just my mind's kind of crazy. A lot of the things I've learned haven't been from a book. So
that's okay. I think that's how we're supposed to learn, isn't it?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
The experience of okay. So with Teresa, all right, we're back to the attitude 8. And so anytime I see attitude 8, I know that there is this natural inclination to be an overachiever. And it's just because you want things to be done right, you want things to be done well, and it's just like you're capable, just go easy on yourself. I always like to say that when I see an attitude 8. Attitude 8s do need creativity in their life. Depending on your numbers, you might need it more so than others. But Teresa, the number one thing that I'm kind of feeling is the need for creativity in life. 8s are naturally very visual. So they're great with art, composition, room design, feeling and energy of a space. And I do think there's like a knack with that for you with like design. So I don't know if like you create things like as a hobby, could be arts and crafts, but there's something like a hobby or something that you create. And it's just like lean, or maybe it's a desire to. I know that there's a theme in there somewhere. And it's just like lean into that. That gives you a lot of healing. That gives your soul a lot of creativity because you tune into spaces and how they can be decorated and how they can be made beautiful, and the pops of color, like put that into your own home. Help people like with giving them the arts and crafts that you make, or the little things that there's something that you make, I'm telling you, that you can give to others or you do to others. And I just feel like you have that talent, and I kind of want to highlight that for a second. Personal day 2, my advice to you within that is take initiative, take the directive. If you feel strongly about something, don't be afraid to speak up. I feel like once someone kind of like asks you and puts the spotlight and gives you permission to speak, you have very concrete thoughts about, how you feel. You have very strong beliefs. You have a conviction in what you're saying. It's not just like, oh, here's like my thoughts. But if someone doesn't invite you to the table, sometimes you don't speak. And it's just like, I would like you to kind of like mix things up. I think that, people need to know kind of where you stand in the beginning rather at the middle. And I think you would find more like-minded people that way. And you would have, I think as well, more confidence within people because you're presenting your true self right at the forefront. And that gives people then an invitation to do the same. And I think there'd be kind of more lightheartedness from that. Ultimately, life is about consistency for you. And if you don't have a good routine and rhythm, you will feel off kilter, out of balance. You have 8, 2, and a 4. Those are called balancing numbers. So if you're not taking care of your body, and if you're not listening to like the cues you get from empathy around people, you will feel all mixed up. So you really have to be in tune with your home. You really have to be in tune with your diet. You have to be really in tune with your emotions. And if you don't do that additional work, some people don't have to do that additional work to feel balanced. If you don't do that work, you will always feel unbalanced and off kilter, and frustrated or not fully energized and fluid even in your body. So Really get in touch with your creativity, really express yourself more from the get-go. Like, make the first move rather than waiting for it. And really, really be aware that you're just more sensitive, more so than other people with food and environment. I just want to give that to you. And the last thing that I will say is this year is a good year for you. You're going to be letting go of a lot of things. It's a year about endings for you. You're in a life path 9. So a chapter is closing and things are going to get easier next year. Okay. Anytime someone has an attitude 9, there's a major chapter, like a 10-year chapter in their life, could be even a 20-year chapter in their life. And it's like, no matter what you did, you kind of were like dealing with a situation constantly. And you're like, why can't this leave? Every time I put in 100%, there's still an issue that comes back to me, whether with it's in family, whether with it's in something you've always wanted to do, it kind of boomerangs back. And this is the year where things are going to close and you get refresh energy going next year. So there's going to be a lot of healing and a lot of I can finally breathe going forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh my God, so many readings today. So for those that want to find you and get the more in-depth reading, how do they find you? How do they follow you? I know I have you on every couple of months, and that's awesome, but they want to see you personally.
Hey, yeah, come on down.
Come on down.
So my website is energeticsessions.com. Other than that, you can find me on any social media, basically, through my name, Kelly Brickel. So like Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, you can find me at Kelly Brickel. And I'm always, I'm posting something inspirational, or I'm showcasing an event, like something that I'm doing upcoming. I'm doing a psychic development circle weekly for like 4 weeks, and that will be in February. So if you are looking to learn about your psychic senses and to practice and learn about different topics with your energy and other people's energy, come on by.
I love that. I love that. I'm so excited. I love it when you're always doing new things, you know what I mean, and helping. And she's got an awesome center. I got the opportunity to go at least online and look at it. So it's amazing. So, okay. It has been so beautiful having you again today, Kelly. I can't even tell you. I can't wait to have you on again. It's been so awesome. And everybody, this has been DeEtte Renee with Schooled Thru Spirit on WLTK DB. I will see you next week when I'm in Florida with Natalie Jones.
Thank you, DeEtte.